Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Triggered. I'm your host, Zachary Clark, and you all know my co-host, Adam Furman. Adam, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine.
Take two, man, take two. Everything is in the green and running smooth. So if you decide to stick with us through the shenanigans, it looks like everything's working now. Not sure what was going on exactly, but we're here, and we're coming to you live from the womb of an unexpected mother, crowded in here with fetuses and such.
I hate that you used that again.
Well, you know, I felt like there was a certain thing to it. The triggered number we are on is currently on triggered number 22, I believe. 22 episodes. That's about 22 hours of content, minus the missing episode number 16.
It's the lost episode.
The lost episode. That will one day perhaps be,
dubbed over.
Redubbed. But I make no promises about this. Oh, what is going on? I don't want this. I gotta get this thing to function.
All I see is myself, so I don't. I don't know.
You can't see me?
No, I can't. It's probably for the best.
Whatever. We're gonna fix this. Stop sharing screen. Reshare screen. Maybe that's what was breaking us before. You should be able to see us now.
Hey, there I am. There you are.
Whew. Yeah, we had a little bit of technical difficulties before. There was stream disruption. We were getting DDoSed by the state, no doubt. They heard about
Obviously, the Chi-Coms.
They heard about us, and they had to shut us down. They couldn't have us speaking the truth to you fine people this Friday Eve. Oh, I don't know if I got enough bourbon to get through this again. But, regardless. Sit back, take a sip of your Buffalo Trace. Ooh, hey. Or whatever you might have at hand. And let's get into it. Coming to you from the Scanner Radio. We've got QPD out at 900 Block Estate with trespassers in a building. K9 unit making entry. Update 2 subjects on the roof. What's this? A police standoff in town? What other news do you have, Scanner? Other males inside of building might have firearms. 5 QPD officers and 3 or 4 Adams County Sheriff's Department officers on scene. 2 to 3 people on the roof of 9th and State. Cop has gun drawn, trying to get them down 10 minutes ago. 2 on roof, 2 hiding inside of the building. 21 degrees Fahrenheit.
What?
Yeah,
What does the weather have to deal with?
I don't know. 21 degrees Fahrenheit, 11:30. I don't know, because they're on the roof, maybe? I'm not sure. EMS responding to 910 Straight will transport a female for a psych evaluation.
Oh.
Apparently there was the lady that was needed one on scene there. 2 in custody so far. K9 unit. I thought there was already a K9. They needed a backup K9 unit en route. Building owner is on the scene. They're transporting an additional 1 individual to the Adams County Jail. I'm like, dun, 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 dun. Wow. Just a police standoff in our very own town. Hot tamales.
Yeah, what was the reason? What or were they waging a war against the actual building? Or, like, what was the deal?
I don't know. Unclear from that. It was just a very spicy scanner post about
Yeah.
this police standoff. But then it was reported in the very herald wing of town. There was a police standoff. Boop, boop. Quincy police have surrounded a home in the 900 block of State after a burglary was reported. 2 people have already been arrested, and 2 more are reportedly barricaded inside the home. So there was apparently a situation where these folks got caught doing the bad stuff, and then the police came, and they decided that they would. I don't know. I think at that point you just get spooked. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna take it all the way? Are you going to go all the way with the police, or are you gonna give it up?
Yeah, some people do either or, you know. The middle of the day, what are you guys doing? I don't know much. I'm not a criminal. I don't know much about this stuff. But in all the TVs and movies that I've watched, burglaries happen during the night because it's, everyone's asleep. The buildings are locked up. No one's in them. They're vacant. And, it's dark. You can move around in the concealment under darkness, and not in broad daylight when you could literally slip and fall, and the snow can, apprehend you for the police.
Oh, maybe. I mean, but maybe that's the counter logic there is that most burglaries are
just
expected to be committed during the nighttime.
That's when they'll expect us to strike. Let's go in this high traffic area. You're in the middle of the day. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. See, that's when they least expect it. That's when you can strike. That's why I always said, if I was a bank robber, I would rob the least expected banks. I'd say, it's small town bank A. The cops, there's only like 3 entire police officers for the entire town.
Yeah, dude, they had to close down. When I first came down around here, I was told that they had to close down I can't remember what bank it was, but it was one of their branches in Versailles, Illinois, because they kept on getting robbed.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
In our county, there's no police over there. There's nothing.
That's what I'm saying. It's a perfect crime.
You know what? Versailles, the community of Versailles, you're just not going to have a bank over here anymore. We're just going to shut it down.
Even better if you could find a way to create some sort of distraction. Set off some kind of explosion on one side of town. And so, all of the, various polices have to respond to whatever the emergent event is. Start a fire, a large fire or whatever. And so they respond to that, and there are no resources left to respond, even if if they managed to report the bank was being robbed. It seems like a model for success if you want to go the bank robbery route.
It's like supervillain type stuff, those pool floaties? That piggy pool floaty? I filled it up with gasoline. And I just set it on fire.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh wow, that would that's just a small fireball. Yes, but the confusing part is they're going to be investigating why someone filled up this pool floaty full of gas.
Yeah, there's a fire.
Long enough.
The fire department's out there. The police are out there. They're like, oh, what's this fire for? Why is there a kiddie pool full of gas set on fire out here in the middle of nowhere? What's going on? And then meanwhile, you're knocking over the bank. They're none the wiser.
What's up with all this Pabst Blue Ribbon all around here, too? I don't know.
Well, you gotta get the courage up.
It's super glued into what looks like a giraffe. I don't know.
Are you describing our weekend plans, Ed? Makes me want to get a case or 2 of Pabst Blue Ribbon and just have a time of it.
Yes, while they're all distracted with the PBR giraffe, then we'll strike.
I don't think this plan could fail. But
Crime.
there are some plans out there that have not quite been implemented so far. You may have heard that the new president, Joseph Biden, is planning on sending us Biden bucks at some point in time.
Oh, he is? I thought that was been dropped.
Biden bucks, you're supposed to get $2,000, and it's going to go out immediately because it's important to stimulate the economy in this downtime. And without the stimulation, the economy is in a tailspin death spiral.
We won't have a 50% ROI on our 401ks or whatever.
That's just keeping up with inflation at this point, my man.
That might be true.
But
might be onto something there. It's bad news, Bear.
The $2,000 stimulus turned into a $1,400 stimulus because, as you're aware, we got round 2 of Trump bucks. That was $600. They say $600 plus $1,400. That's $2,000. That counts toward the $2,000 that we promised you during the campaign. But I came across this fun little meme. And the first panel, it says, everyone's excited. It says $1,400 stimulus checks could arrive by mid-March. Obviously, this is already crazy because it's being delayed for 3 months beyond what they said they were going to do it. As House readies vote on Biden package. Panel 2. You're like, oh, sweet. By March, we might get $1,400 of the $2,000 promised us. And then also reported by The Hill, U.S. delivers $200 million to WHO, fulfilling contributions delayed under Trump administration. Wait, they've already delivered hundreds of millions of dollars of cash money to international organizations? How could this be? They said that they could not possibly coordinate the resources in time to provide us these stimulus checks before the mid-March date they proposed. Where did they get the resources to provide this money to the WHO? Shocked. Breaking news. New. President Biden has authorized the Wuhan Institute of Virology to receive U.S. taxpayer funding through 2024. They are paying the Wuhan lab that has ostensibly created the coronavirus pandemic before you get your Biden bucks.
Yeah, what a joke.
Said, that sounds silly. This was just a made-up meme, right? Adam, please tell me. Tell me, please. This is just a made-up meme.
Yeah, in my experience, I've found that the memes like this usually tend to be true. It's bold. You don't have to make this stuff up.
And there it is.
Yes, someone's like, no, please, tell me, where's the link? I can't, where is this? Is this true? And then it's like, here you go.
The National Institute of Health confirmed Tuesday that the Wuhan Institute of Virology is authorized to receive U.S. taxpayer funding through January 2024. That's right, folks. Your own tax dollars have been sent to Wuhan, China, to the very virology lab that our U.S. State Department has said created and through faulty control processes allowed to escape this deadly pandemic under which we've suffered and has cost millions of lives. You know, I heard China say some time ago that a wacky conspiracy theory that this was in fact a United States covert op to unleash the coronavirus on China, and then and then we were the ones actually that afflicted the world with the pandemic. And it turns out they were correct because we provided the funding to the very lab in China where the virus was developed and released. Oh.
Yeah. We're both right. Yay!
And I'm proud to be an American, where my government funds pandemically unstable viruses from China in a country that's committing genocide as we speak.
Yeah, gosh.
Adam,
Even more stuff came out this week.
This almost broke me. Just this. We're not even like 1/7 of the way through tonight's panel of nonsense.
I thought you were gonna.
I can't go on.
I thought you were like, we're not even past the first seal yet. You know,
Oh, we're not. all the woe yet to be unleashed, my friend. It's coming. Well, I can handle this. I couldn't. And it's not just because it's like, okay, obviously something like this, it just like fits into the plot perfectly. But it's just like for the months, like a year now that we've been hearing about this, that no, it wasn't. Because if it was created in a lab, it'd have the telltale signs. There was actual propaganda created by our own media to say that the coronavirus that has created this pandemic wasn't developed in a lab. And it was promulgated to the public and trying to say that anybody who alleges that the virology lab that exists at the heart of the hot spot where the virus was first found, that was studying bat coronaviruses, that it was suspected was a lab security breach that caused it to leak out into the public, that is the cause of the pandemic, was a conspiracy theory that if anybody said anything about was labeled as some sort of whack job. And not only that, but now we're funding this nonsense through, it's misleading. It's misleading in the thing, because what happens is there's a non-government organization that receives taxpayer funds to provide grants for different kinds of research to organizations worldwide, and that lab in China was one of the various organizations where the grant money went, but, for rhetorical reasons, to try to say, fund the outrage machine, taxpayer dollars funding the Wuhan pandemic. Not necessarily wrong, not 100% true, but 100% garbage time.
Yeah. Well, plus, they moved on from the bat virus. Now they're studying rat virus, so.
Well, that's the thing. Here's how I think it went down. NPR, when I was listening to them when they were talking about this, said that they had white coat expert on, and they would say, obviously this isn't created. The genetic profile doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be manufactured by a lab because it's just a regular coronavirus, yada, 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 yada. Unspoken and unsaid is that obviously you could just take a bat coronavirus and, as suspected, transmit it to an intermediary host where it would develop the ability to infect humans, and you wouldn't have to manufacture it from scratch. But they just don't talk about that entirely, and they say it's not completely made by some guy in a lab, so that means that it wasn't the lab, and anybody who says that it was the lab is a whack job.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Using nature to gauge desire, or using nature and then to engage with and then have desired outcomes, like with I don't know. It's like, what was the Gregor Mendel, right? With the beans or whatever. What?
Mendel, he discovered cells by studying plants under a microscope. I don't know what else he did.
Who's the guy? I mean, dude, we're going back over a decade prior to, for me, but with the dominant recessive genes and stuff.
Punnett squares?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
But anyways, you use the thing, you map it out, and then you could like breed and crossbreed plants and animals to gauge on how you want and then like you can have your desired outcome you want.
Yes.
And so that could be a form of genetic modification, not necessarily like, you know, getting in there and tampering with the genetic code with a laser or whatever they do. So
Yeah, I agree 100%. And here's the kicker, without even getting into it, but based on State Department reports that indicated that the lab was the source of the virus, the Trump administration restricted the ability of these grant funds to go and fund it. And they said before any more funds could go to this Chinese virology lab wherein the Wuhan coronavirus is suspected to have been developed and released, you must investigate whether or not that's the case. Non-governmental organization. Otherwise, you can spend your grant money in any number of other places, just not there. And this was apparently an affront, because as you know, that's a conspiracy theory. So when Biden came in, he said, obviously, this conspiracy theory from the Trump administration that was propped up by intelligence developed by our State Department, CIA, etc., was wrong. And he said that, well, we should just turn that pipe back on. Let the funding of the Wuhan virology lab that not only developed and released the coronavirus, but also did side work for the Chinese military to develop different things and programs for them. Let them be funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars before I get my Biden bucks.
And also the World Health Organization.
Adam, this is my I want to go buy some main hydras face.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. It's not actually in hydras. What is it? It's ammonium nitrate, I believe, is the fertilizer that you need to create the booms.
You mean to fertilize the fields?
Yes, in Minecraft.
Or, yeah.
Another Biden news. You may have heard this, but there was a pipeline. There was a pipeline that was going to run from the tar sands of Canada down all the way across the country to the Gulf of Mexico to distribute crude oil and its byproducts. Did you know about this?
I did.
It was big news.
The Keystone Pipeline?
The Keystone Pipeline. It was protested by native groups in the Plains states because they believed that the construction was excavating and desecrating native burial sites and historical sites, as well as the potential for a spill from the pipeline to contaminate and destroy tribal waters and reservation lands, etc., etc. It became a leverage point for the environmental movement as well, to say that the development of this pipeline would be disastrous because it would allow the cheap transportation and processing of oil from these tar sands, which would contribute to global warming and all this bad stuff. And you say to yourself, like, okay. I might not necessarily be on board and say things like, well, if the pipeline isn't there, they're just going to transport this garbage by rail or whatever else, put it in tanker trucks and ship it down to Louisiana or wherever it's going. It's getting there one way or the other. This is just a cheap and efficient way to do it. And it's probably beneficial because it's much more safe than sending it on rail cars, which regularly derail and explode entire towns, like you might have heard like 5 years ago. I think it was in Canada, maybe in Michigan. I can't remember exactly, but a train derailed that had was transporting petroleum, and it exploded and destroyed the entire town. They had to like evacuate, and it's like toxic, and nobody can go there. That's how they're going to move the oil if they don't have a pipeline. But because whatever, it was publicized, and so now you can use it as a leverage point for your rhetoric to try to get people on board with your ideas or whatever. that this pipeline development, which is actually a net good in the whole schema,
Right.
became the thing. And so you say, okay, putting all that aside, and I say, okay, I buy into your rhetoric, and pipeline bad. Pipeline bad because reasons, and among those reasons is that it allows for the exploitation of these oil reserves that will contribute to global warming that, if not for the pipeline, would not otherwise be exploited, and so global warming better than prior to pipeline coming in. And then you see this. Biden kills pipelines at home but promotes them for the Taliban. Turns out pipelines are just bad for America, not bad for Afghanistan. There was a trans-Afghani pipeline that would pump, I believe it was oil and natural gas from, Kazakhstan through Afghanistan and Pakistan, and then into the Indian Ocean, where it could be then, promulgated around the world and then used to fund all of our excellent petroleum-based industries. And Biden apparently is supporting this. He says, "Yay, pipelines for Afghanis. Nay, pipelines."
Is that a direct quote? It
There are not direct quotes, I don't believe, because this is the Washington Examiner, not exactly a nonpartisan rag. But the essence of it is true, that there was Turkmenistan, a pipeline that was going to go through Afghanistan, and that they didn't know if that was a good idea because of security reasons. You have an unstable region. You don't want instability in business and industry because it inflicts extra costs on you, etc., etc. But in order to create the economic benefit to the country that we're trying to rebuild over the last, how many years has it been, Adam? 20?
Oh, gosh.
20 years this year.
It'll be 20.
That it would be good to have a pipeline through Afghanistan, and we can guarantee that it will be safe.
I think it was easier to rebuild Germany and Japan than it was.
Well, Germany had like a, functioning government beforehand, and same with Japan. With Afghanistan, less clear. Seems it was more of a tribalistic, oligarchical, fractured nonsense. I'm not sure how it worked. All I know is that the way we went about it, we've talked about this before. If I'm in charge and we invade Afghanistan, I'm going to all my advisors and say, okay, who's MacArthur? Point him out to me because he's in charge. And we're Japanifying this Afghani occupation. We decided not to do that I don't know. I can't even, it's been so long, Adam, it's hard to remember. But it was something like this. There was an idea, a nation-building idea, that all we needed to do was displace the authoritarian theocracy or dictatorship or whatever, and give democracy room to flourish. And then it would take seed and then grow out of control in the region. And this was the idea behind not only the Afghanistan invasion and occupation, but mainly the Iraqi one, wherein you could create a liberal, democratic state in the heart of the Middle East that would, through its influence, reach out and impose on the surrounding nations like ideals.
Yeah. I don't know. Nation building works. It's worked in the past, but you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, we should have got some of the. I still like. I think isn't Kissinger still alive?
I think so.
We could pull that guy out of mothballs. He's in some circles a genocidal monster. I mean, I don't know. He might have some ideas about how to do some stuff. He's been around a while.
Yeah.
Ugh. In other news, you may have heard this. Rush Limbaugh died. Speaking of people that may or may not have died, Rush Limbaugh actually did die. He was battling lung cancer. Recently, he was in the news when he received the Medal of Freedom from President Trump at the State of the Union.
Mm-hmm.
And it was much panned because people hate Rush Limbaugh. I remember when I was a child and I was variously working on cars and listening to my dad swear about stuff in the garage that we'd throw on some Rush and we'd listen to him while I was holding the shop light incorrectly. Improperly lighting the hood compartment of the car or whatever that we were working on. And most of the stuff was absolutely nonsense or whatever, but it was just like, over the top rhetorical nonsense that you get.
Yeah.
But people were actually like just reveling in the death of Rush Limbaugh. And this kept coming up. This very thing. And it was mostly reported as coming from this lady, Jessica Valenti, and I have no idea who this is. She said Rush Limbaugh had a segment called AIDS Update, set to music where he mocked dying gay people. So I don't really want to hear about speaking ill of the dead today, because there's a lot of people that were reveling in his death. People said, this is tasteless. Revel in the death of a man just because you don't like him or whatever. But they said it was fine because AIDS Update thing. And I said, well, that sounds bad. What is AIDS Update? And I couldn't know. Because every Google search, it was like every page. It doesn't matter how far down you click, because eventually you can keep clicking and it'll get past like the news when something's hot. Not this. Yeah. It was like 10 pages. 10 pages of nothing but like 1 day, 1 hour old stories. And it was all just like copy pasted of this. And it was the same story. Snopes even did a thing. And within the Snopes article, it said, it's true, he did have a segment called AIDS Update, but we were unable to find any audio clips or transcripts or anything of it. But generally, that's what it was, and it's true. And I said, I don't know the context. I don't know what's happening. Okay, true. All right. If he was, like, mocking the dying of AIDS, it's unredeemably bad. And I don't know the context or what was happening. And my dad listened to a lot of Rush, so maybe he could contribute if he's in the chat. If he could let us know if he heard some of these segments. But this is true. The most solid information I could find about it came from this website.
I'm not trusting that thing.
Kids.
I just
.net.au. That's Australia, I believe. And this is a information. It's like a kids' internet is what this is billed as. And this page specifically is about the updates section of Rush Limbaugh's show that he used to do. And it variously describes the various updates that he would do. In a general description of the kinds of bits they were. Updates were comedy routines done by Rush Limbaugh on his radio program. Each mocked a different person or group he disagreed with. While still part of the program, they were featured much less frequently than in the early and mid 1990s. There was a homeless update, a feminazi update, a Gorbasm update. It was the Gorbachev update. It was very interesting. Apparently, he did these things. It would be like, variously, there was somebody he had a bone to pick with. And then he would have some irreverent song play. And then he would have an update segment about various, I'm guessing, like current events things that were happening related to that group. But I couldn't find any specific clips or transcripts about exactly what was said or in the context of what it was said. But it was a common theme. And that this is where I was able to find any information about any context at all about this subject. This kids.net.au, the search engine for kids, parents, and teachers.
Yeah,
It
why?
tells me something about the news. Everything else was a copy and paste of the Snopes article.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
It
Weird
is
stuff.
weird.
Because it's like, how many different sound bites do people have over the decades? You could pull clips and stuff, but like, there's no. I don't know. I'm not saying he didn't do it, but like,
I think he
the
did something.
evidence.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea.
I don't know.
I have an
It
obvious
seems like right now-
partisan's interpretation of something that they probably never heard. And they heard third hand.
It seems like less likely than It seems less likely than he did. It's like for judging it percentage-wise, it's probably based off of what is out there. 49% or less.
I think
Yeah.
100% true. He had a segment called the AIDS update, like those other updates, and there was things that were said and happened. I have no doubt. That's 100% true to me. That, in the context of the format of the show and the history and what I could find on kids.net.au, that this is true. I don't know, in the context, how it was used, what the format was, or what the commentary was associated with it. Later, Rush apologized for having it because, in his words, it was taken as him making fun of the people who were dying of AIDS, which was not his intent. That's what his apology was. It's not that he said that he was making fun of them, but that it was taken that way, and that's not what he wanted. His quotes were directly misquoted and edited so as to eliminate the context of those quotes themselves that said that he thought they were taken the wrong way, to just say that he thought that he was making fun of them and was sorry for doing that. So in the own meta-narrative of this story that developed, there was dishonest misreporting. Oh, and I couldn't handle it. But I thought it was interesting that the KidsNet nonsense was from Australia, particularly when this news broke. Facebook just blocked the sharing of news in Australia. Dun 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 dun. What? You can't share Australian news anymore on Facebook? How could this authoritarian censorship have taken place, Adam? How will I be able to share kids.net.au posts that have real facts on them anymore if the AU news sources are blocked?
It's just on Facebook.
Everyone's on Facebook, man. It's not like you could go anywhere else to share news.
Yeah, build your own social platform or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You had actually shared this with me, and when I first read it,
Yeah.
I said, this sounds ridiculous. They said that you can't share Australian news anymore, and then I dug into it like one layer further. I haven't gotten
Yeah.
all the layers, and the onion might be very stinky and large, but the next layer is apparently
That picture.
that Australia said that Facebook was profiting from promotions of and users sharing of Australian news sources, and they were sharing them without compensation to the publisher. So I, on Facebook, read Australian news and I see an interesting thing and I say, oh, I will share this Australian news. All my friends, check this out. And like, oh, and then everybody's on Facebook and they're seeing ads. Facebook's making money, etc., etc. But the news source doesn't, I guess. I don't know exactly how it works in the back end. And so Australia said, what?
That's weird to me because, like, once you click on it, I don't know how.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
drive
fully know, but
drive
there's-
traffic to the news site, which then
Yeah.
gains value from the. Yes, that's what I thought too. I don't know. But regardless, Australia passed a law, regulation, or something or other. I don't know how stuff works. I believe they're a common law country, but who knows?
Yeah, and I'm unclear as to whether or not it's even been passed or if it's just in the process of it.
Right. I'm not 100% on this. But they said that if anyone shares something on Facebook of an Australian news site, Facebook would have to pay money to the publisher.
Yeah.
And so Facebook said, well, we're not doing that.
Nope. Unplugged.
Unplugged. We aren't paying you money. You solved your problem for you. And then they said, oh, no, Facebook, please. What we wanted was just for you to pay us all of your money that you have. We heard you have billions. Facebook said, that's not how you make money, friend. You don't give it away. And they just cut them off. And now you can't post any Australian news articles because they don't want to have to pay money to Australian journalists. And I think that's perfectly fine after I got into it. But
yeah,
also sad because who now can read our kids.net.au's informational pages?
That's funny. I couldn't see the full website when you had that, but I thought it was kids.net.ru.
Oh,
Russia. Like, that's from like our Russian website. That's
no, it was AU, and more shocking than any of that was that it was the only thing that I could find that any extra contextual information regarding the situation. That was true, and there was no less than like seven whole pages of search results of news articles that was just a literal copy and paste of the, it's true, he did this thing, and we don't have any idea what it actually said. And I'm just like, come on, there's got to be somebody in the world that heard it, all right? I don't know. It's not that long ago. It was like 1990.
yeah.
Call up some people that listen to Russian and say, okay, they're having a controversy. And think, what happened? What did they say? What was said? What can you just the gist? I'll quote you. It'll be fine. You'll be in the news, buddy. Nothing like that. It was all just that woman's tweet without citation. Obviously, she never heard it before, and no supporting context at all. I was shocked, though maybe I shouldn't have been. In the world we live in today, Adam, wherein special bills are passed to continue the persecution of people that have been voted out of office.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking news. Justin. House Dems have introduced a bill to ban twice impeached presidents. Oh, Jesus. from burial at Arlington National Cemetery and federal funds from going to buildings displaying their names or acknowledging their achievements. The bill is called the No Glory for Hate Act.
Oh, gosh.
Adam, how many...
That's a lame... That's a lame title, by the way.
How many public officials have been twice impeached?
I know. Well, unclear as to whether. Wait, was he impeached prior to leaving office? President Trump? He's impeached once.
He was impeached twice. One was clearly weird because he was no longer president when they decided.
That's what I'm saying. Unclear as to whether it was an actual impeachment.
Twice impeached. Yeah, so he wouldn't necessarily be an impeached president. Then he was an impeached other public official, not a president, because he was out of office. Maybe this doesn't even apply to Trump then in that context.
Yeah, right. That's not what.
What a bunch of silly nonsense then, these loons. Wait. Is this a tacit admission that he was actually president when they impeached him the second time? Is Trump still president? Does this mean that the election actually was in favor of Trump and he is still president right now? It says
even despite the secret cabal.
Yeah.
Working.
It says he is the twice impeached president, but he was impeached as not president during his second one. This seems very strange to me. Now that I look into it for 5 seconds. What a boatload of nonsense.
I can't remember when the House impeached him, if it was the day before he left or the day I can't remember. I know it was close, but I couldn't remember if it was after or before or whatever. But that's something you'd have to look into.
I don't know. He was definitely...
That's who they're discussing. That's who their target is.
Other. There is no other. No. What is that? Unlawful. What are they called? You pass a bill and it's specifically targeting a particular individual. I think they're called bills of detainer. Is that right?
Oh no, I don't. I know what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't remember though.
It was one of the objections that were raised by some of the opponents, and they said one of the reasons why the second impeachment was unconstitutional, not only because he was no longer president and no longer a public official subject to impeachment, but that attempting to impeach him constituted a unconstitutional bill of detainer or whatever, I don't know. And this is even more explicitly so. We have ourselves passing a very law that says, for whatever reason, that twice impeached presidents are removed from this, category of
sainthood.
Sainthood that we've bestowed upon other presidents.
Yeah.
And there's only one such, even though you couldn't even necessarily categorize him as falling into that category based on the discussion that we just had. Very strange, very strange. However, to the extent that impeachments are now allowed for people who are no longer president, and as I had mentioned many a time prior, there are several folks that I would like to dig up from the grave and re-impeach. We'll have a cadaver trials in the Senate for the rest of my days if this is the new rule. There's no end to public officials from the past who have done horrible things. I mean, why you want to impeach them for? And as we all know, under the new law, twice impeach them because they necessarily need it.
Oh my goodness!
And this doesn't even. It doesn't even. Impeachment is just a complaint and indictment.
Yeah.
No president has ever been removed from office under impeachment. That is, convicted from the accusations. So they're saying that anybody who is accused, just accused twice, is then, without being convicted of the accusations, subject to these penalties.
Yeah, unhinged.
What the heck are you talking about, you maniacs? You can have a Senate that is 100% of one party and a House that is 51% of the other, and they could pass an impeachment and have it go, and then just do it again, and then this bill would kick in and exclude whoever. And as we know, it doesn't matter if they're president or not. If they're former presidents, you can do it to apply those penalties to them, because it doesn't matter if they're convicted of the impeachment. All matters is that they were impeached twice.
Yeah.
Why? Why is this the world we live in, Adam?
I can't answer that question, and also, you should stop asking questions.
I think that's my main problem, Adam. As I've mentioned to you many times, we basically live inside of a giant garbage dump. And civilization is the little area of cleared garbage that we've maintained in the middle, where we've built our little buildings and our respectable society. But at any moment, the garbage is just waiting to collapse back in on us.
Garbage avalanche.
And as far as I can tell, that's happened in all of our little garbage cities, and all our garbage ways have been returned back to the heap. And maybe we can clear it out again.
And it's not all the way, but there's a few trash bags that have fallen in.
In line with this is the other avenue that I've heard proffered for excluding the former President Donald Trump of being able to enjoy the benefits of his office that he had held, and also to preemptively attack his ability to run in 2024 at the age of like 78 or whatever he's going to be. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Regardless, the 14th Amendment explicitly states those who engage in insurrection cannot hold office. Congress must immediately pass a resolution barring Trump from holding office again. The future of our nation depends on it. Retweet if you agree.
Yeah, it's very deranged. I don't know. Do you think that he'll run in 4 years? I mean,
no, I do not. I think that I think that they're terrified that he will.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. I think that the more likely outcome would be you'd get like a Trump certification, right? You'd have like a candidate, and then Trump would be like, him. You know?
It very well could be. Being a kingmaker is often better than being the king. Because you don't have people aiming for your head constantly. But in the context of all the nonsense, I think that there is, in the scope, I don't understand completely why, but there was a desire to foreclose the possibility of Trump ever entering the political sphere again. Those were the people that wanted the second impeachment to succeed. And those are the people that are pushing this 14th Amendment insurrection preclusion as well.
Absolutely. I can't grasp my mind around it, because there's so many implications. Like, this man is so dangerous that we can't allow him to be in politics ever again. There, stay out of politics. It's like, if he's really that dangerous and an authoritarian, etc., he doesn't need that.
Yeah, he would still be in power. He is not. And I don't understand. I don't even know what an insurrection is in this context anymore. And we've talked about this before. the January 6th assault on the Capitol, insurrection 2021, wasn't even the worst attack on the government in the past 6 months. So I don't understand any of this nonsense. It's not that it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that it wasn't a bad thing, but
Right.
it has been propagandized as the worst thing since 9/11, and it's not even the worst attack on the government that happened in the last 12 months. There was burning of courthouses, burning down police stations. There was all sorts of stuff. There was Molotov cocktails, and Secret Service members entered at the White House. There was a mob instigated by Chuck Schumer that tried to attack the Supreme Court building and were banging on the very doors of the place. But the January 6th insurrection was the worst attack on the government. Listen, I don't know who believes this, but there are a lot of people that think that that's true, and I don't understand. If you can explain to me how you think that that's true, and the level of outrage about that in context of everything that's happened in the last year, it seems rational. Comment below, please, because I don't understand at all. Well, it's a bad thing, and I agree. And people are going to prison. There should be a lot more people from a lot of other incidents going to prison too, but they're not. And so, wrap your mind around that. I can't, unless you just devolve straight into base tribalism and say that because wrong tribe was the one that did it, then we have to punish them. Then okay. I don't know where that takes us. You know more about Weimar than me.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
It's not a pretty picture.
I think that we might be like 1/2 step away from that happening.
Yeah, well, it's that, I mean, I don't know. Probably more likely with the nationalists and the Republicans in the Spanish Civil War.
I don't know. We're going to have the hyperinflation triggered by the overzealous coronavirus stimulus.
Right. That's a hallmark of the Weimar Republic.
Completely, wrecking the economy.
The wrecked economy, yeah.
You're going to have the factional tribalism of the communist Antifas and the authoritarian fascists.
I don't know
others. I don't know. They haven't properly been branded yet. That should happen within the next 6 months.
When Kamala becomes president.
And so then they'll be fighting in the streets when the dissatisfaction reaches a peak. And then we'll have another January 6th someplace. And it will be used to instigate emergency crackdowns on whatever. They're trying to use January 6th, but it's too early. We haven't had the real crisis yet, so you can't use that to accelerate your agenda yet. But people are saying things like that, like the Reichstag fire to half the. I don't want to say half. I don't know. I still think that less than a quarter of the people think that it was the Reichstag fire on January 6th. I hope. But they're saying that that's the thing. They need to instigate special laws and tribunals to persecute these extremist terrorist groups within the United States that perpetrated the white supremacist attack on the Capitol building on January 6th.
Yeah, I don't know. they didn't have, they didn't even have support of left leaning, even like farther left leaning people in the House.
Yeah.
So dead in the water.
That's what I'm saying. They played their hand too soon. If they had waited 6 months to develop this crisis further, they might have had some legs.
It's like, whoa. Listen, we can work within the Patriot Act, is what they're saying, really.
Well, folks, I just want to say keep your heads together, man, because I don't know where this is going. But I want you to remember this straight from Ice-T with our ice cold fact of the week. Only a fool trips on what's behind him. Via a man named Iceberg Slim. Iceberg Slim. I don't know. Probably some OG from Ice's neighborhood.
That's interesting. I don't know.
But, hard truth from Ice-T. Only a fool trips on what's behind him. Can't look behind, and let that stuff hang us up from the progress we're trying to make. So we're moving forward, man, into the future. And that's our show for the night. Really hope you folks enjoyed it. Feel free to follow us on Twitter. We are at triggered_media. And variously. If you can't find Adam and I from there, then you don't deserve to be on Twitter. Like this video if you enjoy this content. Share it with your friends.
Don't insult our listeners.
Subscribe to the channel and all that fun stuff so you can see when we go live, when we post our videos again. We are on various podcast platforms as well, Spotify and others. I will see what I can do about posting a link to the audio version below. I was bad. I couldn't even get the audio version up of last week's episode until earlier today because of laziness mostly.
Scheduling conflicts, you mean?
Yes. Scheduling conflicts. Too much to do, frankly. Ed, do you have anything you wanted to add here at the end of the show tonight?
I do not. I was going to show my books, but I already showed them. So.
Oh, yeah, but that's not even going to go up. Also, you get a wonderful review of your book, Collateral Damage.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty cool. 4 out of 5 stars by Myers Fiction. He said it was a awesome kaiju battle, robot mech battle novel. So, I don't know. Maybe it made me feel good.
It is really good.
Good story.
I don't know that I would describe it as a kaiju mech battle novel.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't remember. He used a bunch of hashtags, so I couldn't remember what like the actual core part of the review was. So
I am genuinely looking forward to the sequel wherein you actually get into the Voltron Force or whatever.
Oh yeah, yes. No, that's like yes.
Dynamic?
I have. That's the third one. The second one I have. I need to get on. I need to get on that. The second one involves
detective.
Yeah, sheriff.
Yes.
Or well, deputy. But yeah.
That's good. I recommend it. Well, I'll try to post a link to Adam's novel, Collateral Damage, a kaiju thriller. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
In the information below. But, folks, as always, that was our show for tonight. I hope you really enjoyed it. And you can see us every Friday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. And we will see you next week on Trigger. Good night.